In today's episode, we are joined by one of the leaders at Crust Pizza. Crust Pizza is a brand out of the Houston market that is ready to take the world by storm. They're producing a very different experience in the world of pizza and fast casual pizza. They've got a very unique process. And my guest, Nicholas, and I talk deeply about what makes them tick, what makes them unique, and really why they think they've got a better brand of pizza for today's consumer and the things that they're looking to do. They've also done a lot in the way of streamlining the franchise operation and what they think that each of the franchisees need to have in order to be successful. Stay around till the end where he talks a lot about his tech stack and all of the things that they have invested in at an early stage so that they can help brands to thrive. If you don't know me, my name is Jeremy Julian. I am the Chief Revenue Officer for CBS North Star. We wrote the North Star point of sale solution for multi-units. Please check us out at cbsnorthstar.com. And now on to our episode. Welcome back to the Restaurant Technology Guys podcast. I thank everyone out there for joining us. As I say each and every time, I know you guys got lots of choices, so thanks for hanging out with us today. Today is a cool story because we're going to talk with Nicholas about the brand, but they are a brand that even though you might not think there's not a whole lot of people that are doing what these guys are doing, they've built a lot of their own tech stack. And so we're going to talk with Nicholas both about the brand that he gets the privilege of working with, and then why they chose to go down this route. But before we jump into that, Nicholas, why don't you introduce yourself? You and I got a chance pre-show to talk a little bit about kind of your background, and I'm pretty intrigued about how it's pivoted from the different places you've been to now where you're at with Crust.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. And I appreciate you having me on the show. So yeah, my name's Nick Fontenot. Right now, I'm a partner and CTO at Crust Pizza Co. The company's been around for quite some time. We've been around since 2011, but I've been with the company now for about 3.5 years. My previous background comes from my very first franchise concept that I created was called Fix My Phone. Grew that, I think, through 4 or 5 different states, learned the franchise aspect of it. And after that, got into created another franchise concept. That's where I dabbled in food. I was a partner and original creator of Main Squeeze Juice Company. And even before all that, I've just always been a technology guy. I've always loved tech. One of my first jobs coming out of college was for AT&T or Singular back in the day. So I've always been that tech nerd. But yeah, no, it's been quite the journey, and I'm excited to see where Crust goes because our how fast we're growing right now is insane.
I love that. So for those that are not familiar, because you guys are geographically kind of in the South Texas or Houston market for the most part, for those that are not familiar with it, talk us through what is Crust Pizza, and I guess what even drew you to the brand to even join 3 years ago?
Yeah, that's a great question. So Crust is a fast casual pizza concept. We serve Chicago style thin crust pizza. We really focus in on quality. And so, for example, our dough we make 4 to 5 times a day, just depending on how busy the store is. We make our dough 4 to 5 times a day from scratch. Never even hits the fridge or freezer. And so I don't know of any other concept that does that. We have our own proprietary blend of cheese that is made just strictly for us. We hand cut all of our cheese every day. We hand cut all of our veggies, hand cut all of our meats. And so again, we really focus in on quality, and then we try not to be too expensive. So our typical customer, we try to get them to come back a few times a week because we're not charging some absorbent amount for our menu items, even though they're getting that quality. And then as far as atmosphere goes, a lot of our furniture and stuff we source from like Restoration Hardware, and so we give you a nice. We tell people it's a place you can take your spouse for a date night, and it's also somewhere you can take your kids after a ball game. We really do. We hit a very niche part of the market. There's not many. Whenever people are like, "Who's your competition?" I don't even know. There's really no place like Crust, and we hear that every day from our customers. So it's really cool.
That's awesome. I know we talked a little bit about it pre-show. I've not had the privilege of going yet, but next time I'm down in that neck of the woods, I'm going to have to check it out. What, I guess, just because it caused a little bit of a pause in my brain, what is Chicago thin? Like I always think of Chicago as thick crust pizza. So
It's funny,
walk me
yeah.
through what is
So
Chicago thin crust pizza? Because I had no idea that they even had
that's
a
even a
thin crust
thing,
pizza. Because I
right?
always think of
Yeah.
New York as thin crust pizza.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's funny is that we hear that all the time from guests who, aren't necessarily from Chicago. Because if you're from Chicago, you're not asking that question because believe it or not, more thin crust pizza is sold in Chicago than deep dish. And so, yeah, I know it's
Interesting.
insane.
It's just the
It,
tourists. It's the tourist trap to get them in for the
That's
crust
right. Yeah.
pizza, or
So
no?
yeah. So if you're a tourist, you're getting the thick pie slices. You have one piece, and you're got to take a nap, right? But no, Chicago is actually known for their thin crust, and we cut all of our pizzas in tavern style, where it's not necessarily in the triangles. We cut it in squares, and it's definitely a unique take on it, and our guests love it.
I love that. Thanks for scratching my itch that when you said Chicago, then I was like, what the heck is that?
Yeah.
One of the dilemmas that we've seen in this world as you go to franchise, when you try and do everything fresh, is that's really hard. That's really hard. So I'd love to talk through just even how you guys have done that, because I think tech has played a big part in ensuring that you can make dough fresh. You think about some of the contemporary places that are fast casual, just in general. It doesn't matter. It could be corporately owned, like a Chipotle, to a franchise group of a Blaze or a Mod Pizza that are fast casual, but they struggle with consistency of product. They struggle with consistency of doing that. And that's where a lot of it's made in a commissary and brought to them. You talk about the fact that you guys are at a place where you're making stuff fresh every day in-house. Help me understand how you guys are able to do that.
Yeah, no, it's a great question. So, yeah, because look, at the end of the day, these stores only have enough time in the day to do what needs to get done. And so, yeah, the more things we throw at them, where it's like, hey, you need to make your dough every few hours, you need to prep this and prep that and cut this, and yeah, versus just doing it all and giving it to them. So yeah, so you're right. Tech does play a big part of that, and that was one thing. Whenever my business partner and I decided to join Crust just a few years ago, and to join the original two founders of the company, was how can we simplify this? How can we make technology and make it easier so that we can scale this? And because the two original partners had an amazing brand and they had an amazing concept, they had amazing food, but yeah, they had no tech. They had no tech stack at all. They're not tech guys, right? And so yeah, being able to go in, learn learn the restaurant inside and out. I literally lived one of the restaurants for a year and a half to a year before I even started to change anything or do anything with tech. And so just filling out and seeing where all the what I felt where the gaps were and where we can use tech to help scale the brand and make it where we are today. When we joined, I think we only had a handful of locations, and I think we just opened store 33, and by the end of the year we'll be over 40. So having all the systems in place is what allows you to just put the pedal to the metal.
Yeah, and so let's talk before we jump into point of sale, because I know you guys have built your own point of sale, and I want to talk about that.
Mhm.
But you alluded to the fact, Nick, that you started in the stores. You were there for quite some time before you tried to enhance anything. I
Yeah.
know pre-show we talked a lot about kind of the back of the house and how you automated the back of the house. How
Mhm.
did you tackle that? Because I think a lot of people, the franchisees, a lot of times are like, I don't know, what did corporate tell me to do? And then I'm just going to go follow the
Do
checklist and
whatever I
do
want.
that,
Yeah.
which is great.
Mhm.
But you had to almost create those checklists and figure them out and then say, how do I put them into a system to automate them and make sure that they're delivering on that consistency? Because nothing hurts a brand worse than when you get outside of the core and you can't visit the stores every day, and then the
Yeah.
product goes downhill and the operations goes downhill. And I know you guys have invested a lot early on so that
Mhm.
you don't get to that place. So I'd love to get inside of your brain and say, what exactly did you do, and where did you start to invest time, money, and energy to get new things going to help the brand to be able to be successful?
Yeah, no, yeah, super great question. So the thing with if we back up for a second and we talk about my last franchise concept, which was Main Squeeze, I actually started first building the POS, and then I built all of the tools to help the stores operationally behind it. And so with Crust, I knew that that should have been opposite. We
POS is
really,
hard.
it
POS is hard, man.
it is, and but also running a restaurant's hard,
Yeah.
and not having the right systems in place and not being able to look back and see where something went wrong or where the gap is tough. So yeah, so that's what I did with Crust. I basically did what I wish I would have done with Main Squeeze. I started with all the kitchen tools. And so when I say kitchen tools, we have everything you can imagine and more that we can do in our kitchen. So we have our own private app that they can print date dots on. So corporately, we put how long things last for, and so every employee has their own pin. So when they put in their pin, it prints out a date dot form. It tells me who made the date dot, at what the time they made it, how many they made, like when they're prepping. And at any point in time, we can go in and do audits on the store to make sure nothing's expired, whatever. We developed it where we have sensors in all of our coolers, all of our fridges, all of our warming boxes, everything like that, where I can make sure that the stores are at temp at all time. It sends the owner and the manager messages if for some reason temp is not reported back three times what it should be. We have opening checklists that are all automated that all the employees can do from their phones, or they can do it from the kitchen app to make sure everything's being done. They can upload photos when they finished each task. So opening, midday, closing checklists that are all automated. If they're not doing, if for some reason they fall behind on a checklist, it sends them a text, an email alert. Hey, this is not done yet. You need to do it. And so again, just using technology so that all of these things, we hold a brand standard. And then we also have somebody from corporate that their job every day is to visit multiple stores, and they're doing these random, we call them RSCs, restaurant systematic evaluations. And so the stores don't even know when they're coming, but they show up and they make sure that, and again, that's run on another application that we built, it's just a checklist that they go through. They take pictures. It tells them if they failed that point last time. It tells them if they failed it again. And then at the end, it gives them a to-do list that it sends them an email and says, okay, this is what you failed. This is how you need to fix it. Once it's fixed, you upload it here, show me pictures, and then they come back and I guess make sure it's done properly.
And the cool part and the amazing part for me, Nick, is how often these things are an afterthought before people scale. They go run out because they've got a great product, they've got a great brand. They go run out and sell a bunch of franchises, and then they get out there and the quality suffers, and then they end up getting beat up about the quality. But in the
Yeah.
first 6, 8, 10 stores that they had that were core, they were great. And so the fact that you guys have put these systems in place, did that system architecture and that thought from you and your partner, did it just come from realizing franchising that these are things that you need to do? Because even what, I mean, at less than 40 stores, the amount of tech that you guys have, even in just in your kitchen before we get to the front of the house, is
Yeah.
pretty remarkable. There's brands that are 2, 3, 4 times the size, 10 times the size of you guys that don't have all of these things in place, or they went and bought something off the shelf. And I'd love to talk to you about why you guys built it versus bought it.
Yeah.
But tell me, really, where did that thinking come from, and why was it such an important thing to invest before the scale?
Yeah. No. Yeah. Again, great question. So one thing that I realized when growing Main Squeeze, and we didn't even talk about this, but we were one of the fastest growing fast casual health concepts in America at the time that when I sold out. But having a great product and a great brand helps sell franchises. But what I learned that sells franchises more is good technology and a good tech stack, because people get excited about that. They want to know that when they sign up with a brand, we call it a business in a box. They want to know when they sign up with a brand that they're going to get the tools and that they need to be successful. Tech does that.
Yeah,
And so that's, we sold 54 locations in 2.5 years. That's insane for a brand new concept. We had one store and sold 54 locations in 2 years because of the tech stack. And of
that's
course, it was a
incredible.
great brand and we had great product as well. So I don't want to take all the credit, but yeah. So I knew that with Crust, we needed to do the same thing, especially if we wanted to grow, we wanted to scale it, because a pizza concept is, there's a lot more moving parts than making smoothies and juices. And so to me, just being an entrepreneur and a business owner, I know that the two most important things with owning a business, and the reason why people fail businesses, is either they didn't make enough money, so then they spent too much money on their cost of goods, or they spent too much money on their labor. And so building tech that allows our stores to see that at all times in real time, where they're overspending, and if their labor is too high in certain places, it was vital. And so we didn't even talked about that part yet of how we do that. But yeah, that was really why I wanted to focus in on the tools before the POS. And so it's been a few years now. I think it's been about 2.5, 3 years. We started the POS and we're on our way to launch it over the next 60 days. But having that, it's just going to open up a whole nother facet of resources. And of course, data is key. So having all that data at our fingertips is going to be incredible.
Yeah. So tell me, on all of your guys' items, like you guys aren't making the mixers. So where do you guys, and I just left RLC a couple weeks ago at the time of this recording, Restaurant Leadership Conference, great conference for restaurant executives to learn. There was a whole debate on build versus buy. And it sounds like you guys are of that build ilk, at least as it relates to technology, rather than going and buying something off the shelf, or maybe you start with buying something off the shelf, learn where its frailties are. And
Yep.
then, so talk me through that before we jump into POS, because I really do want to get into why are you guys building your own POS and launching it? But even in this, so a lot of these back office things, even that product for day dots, I have people ask me all the time, what's everybody doing for day dots? And 9 out of 10 customers are still just writing the date and
Yeah.
sticking it on the day dot without a prep list or without a understanding what those things are. And you're nodding for those that are listening on the audio. I'm sure so many of our operators are still in that spot where they're still doing it the same way that they did it in 1996 with a day dot. They write the date. They don't even check who did it or any of those kind of things. And
Yeah.
so I love that you guys have automated that, but why build? Because it's a
Mhm.
lot of work. It's capital intensive to do that.
Yeah,
I
you're right.
agree with you long term. It's the right plan, but
Mhm.
short term, it's hard.
No, you're right. And again, having my background where I guess my take on it is because I've done it before and because this is not like my first rodeo. Yeah, I understand most people, it probably makes more sense to partner with somebody who's built it and done it. But what I found is, especially when you have so many franchise partners, is the more third-party companies we ask them to work with, the less likely they are to use it. Because they now have to remove a login. It's another company they're having to pay monthly for this service, and then they have an issue, so then they're having to call them. And it really muddies up when you have different third-party companies and nothing talking to each other either. And so it makes more sense for us, and especially with my background and my tech team that's been with me for 15 plus years, to just do it, just build it. And so yeah, a lot of times we'll find a company that maybe has that tech. We'll purchase it for 6 months, a year, whatever, learn it, figure out the things that we love about it, things that we hate about it, and then we just build our own from it. But yeah, so I guess that's my answer in short. Yeah, it's easier for me.
Got ya.
Yeah.
Yeah. And again, I'm sure you guys found that there's data companies out there, there's checklist companies out there, there's back office companies out there that do purchasing and inventory. And you guys have chosen to do no different than we talked about pre-show, build your own point of sale. So talk to me a little bit about where you guys are at on the point of sale journey, because that's hard too. But so there's a lot of moving parts and pieces. You got a lot of things that are out there that you guys had to think about. And I think you guys started similarly with an off-the-shelf product and built on top of it and
Mhm.
then ran into limitations. And so you guys decided to go build your own ordering platform. So talk me through where you guys are at on that journey and how that whole thing transpired. And now a word from one of our sponsors. Every restaurant operator understands the chaos of a restaurant kitchen during the meal rush. Restaurant Technologies Total Oil Management Solutions is an end-to-end automated oil management system that delivers, filters, monitors, and recycles your cooking oil, taking the dirtiest jobs out of your kitchen and letting your employees focus on more important tasks. Control the kitchen chaos with Restaurant Technologies and make your kitchen safer. No upfront cost. To learn more, check out rti-inc.com or call 888-796-4997.
Yeah. Yeah. So when I joined the company, we were using a different POS. It wasn't even cloud based. So if our original, my partners, the original founders wanted to know what a store did in sales the night prior, they'd have to literally go to the store and look at the POS or look at the receipts, which I was like, whoa, the upgrade. And so, knowing how I wanted to come into the company, knowing how I wanted to build the back end tools and to help support the team. And when I say team, all of our employees. So I wanted to build employee tools that would help them do their jobs better, more efficiently. I wanted to build tools for our customers to make sure that we know they're having a good experience. And we haven't even talked about all these different tools, and so knowing all that, I knew that I couldn't tackle both at the same time. And so I found a POS partner that I felt could grow with us and get us to the finish line. And I made sure they had all the right APIs so that when we were ready to integrate in all of our tools, we could do so. And so we signed up with Toast years and years ago. This was before they were even a publicly traded company. And of course, they promised us everything under the sun. And again, this is not like me throwing shade at them, but at the end of the day, I think a lot of things have changed with their company once they went public. And we're not getting the support and the help and the future vision that where they're heading. And there's a lot of things that for them, they built it for it to work with every business model, not just
Mhm.
restaurants, whatever, or every type of business, every type of restaurant even. And so things like multi-level fulfillment we need, and I don't know, we wrote everything down and sent it to them. Hey, this is the stuff that is going to help us run our business. And they're like, these are all great ideas, but it's going to go in a queue. We may never get to it. We may get to it. And we waited, another year or so, and nothing ever changed. And so at that point, again, with my background of already doing this two other times, building POSs two other times, I'm like, it's going to be expensive. It's going to cost a lot. It's going to take a lot of my time and energy. Now, obviously, it's going to be a big change for all of our franchisees eventually once it's completed. But are we willing to make that investment and do it? And so the obvious answer was yes. And so, yeah, we've been working on it for about a year and a half. And yeah, we're getting close to launching. I'm a little bit nervous because it's obviously not going to be perfect, but yeah, we're going to have some tools in there that we don't have now, which I think the stores will be excited about.
Well, and I love that you guys, again, I love just in general how you guys have taken control of your own destiny, not just from the food and the production side. And you guys got a unique product and doing different things. And so it's not your run of the mill fast casual pizza place. And then in addition to that, you guys have said, you know what, we're going to control the guest experience, which to me is a big piece of everybody's restaurant. And I think sometimes philosophically, I believe, and as a business, we believe that tech should not dictate how the restaurant operates. The restaurant should operate how the restaurant operates, and tech should enhance that experience and allow them to do what they need to do. When you think about pizza, though, pizza is a very unique dining experience, and you've got really tech forward companies that are out there that have, you know, that measure their sales in billions, with Domino's and a Pizza Hut and a Papa John's. And so you guys are, while it's definitely not the same product, you're still competing for that same consumer spend when they say, do I want pizza today? Do I want crust, or do I want to go order Domino's and have it delivered? Sure. They oftentimes have set the trend on what the expectations are for even non-pizza brands. So how do you think about that, Nick? Because whether it's the Domino's pizza tracker, I was at Mertec in March earlier last month, I guess, and somebody from Domino's was up on stage, just how they even thought about the Domino's pizza tracker and how even delivering to a ball field or delivering to a non-traditional address was something that they also added in. How do you guys think about that as it relates to the guest experience? Because you've got the in-store point of sale, but most pizza places have some form of delivery and or off-prem, and I'm sure you guys are no exception to that.
Yeah. Yeah, the thing with us is, especially in the pizza realm, is it's super easy to get caught up. Especially in the pizza realm, is it's super easy to get caught up. And even growing up on pizza, the first thing I would do back in the day when I call up a pizza place, I'd say, "Hey, what promos you guys running?" And just I'm like, you don't do that with any other brand, any other type of food. Is ask them what discounts you have. And so it was really tough to push away from that. But I think over the years, our customers don't really, they're not looking at Crust going, hey, what type of discounts do you have? What coupons do you have? Whatever, because we really don't do that sort of thing. And so you look at a brand like Chick-fil-A, like they don't really they don't do promos. They do have a customer app that you can download and get rewards and all that. They have a rewards program, which is really cool. And so that's really what we're focused in on, is creating a super nice, super cool reward program for our guests to reward our return members. And yeah, that's really what we're focused in on versus trying to compete with the Domino's, because we'll never be as cheap as them. But again, it's not the same dining experience for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. And again, it was one of those things that I was thinking about. I'm like, how in the heck? And again, you guys are not in the same space, but
Yeah.
consumers continue to drive our behavior. They continue to drive what it is that we're doing from a tech stack. We have
Yeah.
to invest in technology every day at North Star, and we have to build features that consumers are looking for and brands are looking for. So I just was wondering how you guys think through that. So just because it's hard to continue to invest and know that you're going to hit those paths. I'm going to not flip it around a little bit, but I'm going to dig a little bit deeper into kind of your guys' thoughts. I know we're recording this in late April. You got a couple more weeks till you guys are getting out to the field. How have you considered rolling out new tech to the franchise world? Because it's hard too, because they're used to the ways that they are. They're running their shops the way that they're running them. They likely are on some other form of tech stack. And so you guys have had to roll out over the last 3 years different pieces of technology, whether it's the point of sale or the back office system. And oftentimes that comes at a cost. And oftentimes that comes at a change management component. How have you guys considered that as a brand? Because I also see technology investments fail because the franchisees don't adopt them. So then they don't get the results. And when they don't get the results, now they don't trust corporate when they're bringing out something new. And again, I'm sure at your last two roles, you had this problem. So how do you guys think about that for those that are also in the franchise business that might be listening to the show? How do you guys make sure that it's going to hit the nail on the head and make sure that it's really delivering the value that you guys were hoping for prior to making the investment?
Yeah, no, it's a great question. So I have a handful of stores that I like to test some of these new features out with, because at the end of the day, it can work great in my office and my developer's office, and it looks fancy and it's got all these nice buttons. does all these cool things, but if the stores aren't using them or don't understand it, or maybe it's not in the real world application, it's not doing all the things it should do. And so yeah, I usually run it through a handful of stores, get feedback, fix it, do it again, get feedback, fix it, and I usually give it, I'd say, 2 to 4 weeks of just testing it, beating it up, and then roll it out with the stores. That is something I could probably do a little bit better job of, is into the stores better about what it does and how it can help them. Because for me, it's once something rolls out, I'm on to the next. Where do
Hmm.
we do versus? But that is also part of. I was talking about RSCs earlier. That is part of the RSC. Is that when they do come into the store from corporate, they make sure that they are using all the tools and that they understand all the tools, and that's part of that checklist. And so that does help that as well.
Yeah, and I think, like you said, the franchisees get excited about this stuff because they realize that you guys are on the cutting edge
Mhm.
of really investing in the stores, and it's not some stagnant thing that you guys are doing. You're constantly looking to innovate, and I'm sure the same. It sounds like the same culture exists, whether it's on menu innovation, it's store innovation, it's
Yeah.
tech innovation. You guys are at that place, and ultimately, at the end of the day, successful franchisees continue to grow and continue to be happy with the brand, and then they trust you, and it's a very symbiotic relationship. Once they stop being able to do that, it turns
Well,
problematic.
and a lot of these franchisees signed up for Crust because of when we did our discovery day and we showed them the tech stack and where we're at and how forward thinking we are, and even showed them the roadmap of where we want to be. And so I think a lot of these franchisees are excited to get new tech, and then they embrace it.
Love that. Last kind of question or thought. You guys talk about growing. Obviously, we spent a lot of time talking about how you guys have invested in technology. What, for those that want to learn more about Crust, help me understand where are you guys at in your guys' kind of growth cycle, primarily in kind of the Houston market for the most part right now. But where are you guys at? And again, we're recording this in late April of 2025. So some people may listen to this a year from now. So,
Yeah.
and maybe you guys will be at 500 shops by then, but who knows? We'll see. So
Hopefully.
if they want to learn more about the shops and how to investigate whether Crust is right for them,
Yeah.
where do they go? What does that look like?
Yeah, yeah. So we have a franchise website, crustfranchise.com. To be honest, we're about tapped out of Houston. I think we have 27, 28 locations in Houston. So we're about tapped out of markets in Houston, but we are looking at franchise partners in Texas markets, Dallas, San Antonio, Austin. And we are open to looking at other bigger markets like Atlanta and the Carolinas and stuff like that, as long as it comes with multi units. We're not, it would take a lot of a pool for us to take all of our people out and go to somewhere else to train just for one store. So we're not super interested in that. But yeah, what's really cool is because the brand, we have such a following with our brand. We get so many requests a day to become a franchisee, and so to be honest, we are super selective and super picky with who our partners are. And so we're not just signing anybody up. But yeah, we'd love to. We're really looking for, like I said, multi-unit people who are already in the game, and not necessarily pizza game, but franchise game, and then people who want to be in it. We're not really looking for somebody who just wants to put money in it and walk away. We're wanting somebody who wants to be an operator and get their hands dirty.
And I think, as we've talked about quite a bit in the show in general, it's just the quality of what you guys do: fresh cut cheeses, doughs every day, sauces. Like,
Mhm.
you have to understand and be passionate about growing the business, or else you're going to struggle to
Yeah.
grow, because it's not. And again, lots of different franchise opportunities. There's people that are set it and forget it. Doesn't
Yeah.
sound like that's the brand. And there's a lot of opportunity to make a huge difference both in the community and to grow quite a bit and make some good money. So is what it sounds like, at least. So I love
Yeah.
that you guys are thinking that way.
Oh yeah, yeah, and again, even though it does sound like a lot, and yeah, at the end of the day, we are a full-fledged restaurant. We really have simplified it and made it dummy proof, if you will, to pick it up and run with it as long as you're willing. So I don't want to scare anybody, but yeah, it's done a lot to make it easy to operate, in my opinion.
And I think in general, I think it's significant that you guys are thinking that way, because I think I've watched in my 30-year career a lot of people that grow so fast and then they end
Mhm.
up getting out over their skis and they don't end up having the right franchisees, and now they're
Yeah.
spending all of their time fighting the franchisees because they picked the wrong partners,
Yeah.
and it hurts the brand and ultimately they lose it. And so, just because I'm sure this will come up, if people want to even see what it is that you guys are doing, are you guys considering commercializing any of the tech you guys are building for other brands? Is that going to be another business opportunity for you guys, or is it kind of only for Crust and
Yeah.
we're not going to do anything there? Because I could see somebody saying, how do I get Nicholas's day dot thing, or how do I get his
Yeah.
back office program, or how do I get his POS?
No, it's so funny. I've gotten asked this so many times. Even our ops manager, who's her background comes from, I think she was with Dickies, and before that or after that, she was with Clean Juice, and she worked with Marcus Lemonis hand in hand with the franchise that he created. So she's been in the game, and so she said, "Nick, I've been with so many companies, big companies, and nobody's had anything like this. Would you ever be interested in licensing this or selling it?" Or, and I don't know. I think that's something we'd have to step back and look at. I think at the end of the day, there's so many paths you can take when you're running a franchise. And the problem is, I think if we white label this, it's going to take my energy and focus away from what we're doing right now. And that's continuing to grow the brand and the business. The goal over the next 8 years is to hit 250 locations.
Love
And
that.
so that's what our focus and energy is on right now. And so
Okay.
I'm never going to say never, but at this moment in time, it's for Craft.
Okay, I had an assumption that, that was going to be where it was, but I figured I'd ask because, as you said, internally it happens, and so you're going to have a
Yeah.
whole bunch of listeners that are going to be like, "How do I get what he has?" So, what's the best way to stay updated on what's going on with Crust and what's going on with Nick and the team?
Yeah, it's a good question. So again, crustfranchise.com is our franchise website. Crustpizzaco.com is our main one. We have a news section there that all the new things going on and locations opening, and so yeah, that'd be probably the best way to stay up to date of what we're up to.
Awesome. I love that. Thank you for spending time with us and sharing why you guys have done what you guys have done. As I said, I'm excited to go check it out next time I'm down in
Yeah,
Houston,
we'd love
or
to have you, man.
if you guys
We'll
find
go
your
do
way up
lunch.
this way. I'll be
Yeah.
down there this summer at one point for sure.
Okay,
Because,
cool.
like I said to you prior to, I got a daughter who's in softball. Any longtime listeners know that I'm all over the country on sporting event outings, so I'll check it out. To our listeners, guys, I know you guys have got lots of choices, so thanks for hanging out with us. If you haven't already done so, subscribe to the show on your favorite listening platform. Nick, thank you so much, and to our listeners, make it a great day.